Um, I'm just trying to get my live stream on so that we can get started. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Crypto Pulse Weekly. Um, you will have noticed that guys on Instagram now, Instagram started late as well. So good evening, everyone. Welcome once again. Um, it's that time of the week for our weekly debrief of the activities in the crypto world. We're going to get a lot of a lot of interest in the coming months as the market starts to pick up for the final leg of the bull run. Hopefully, you will be able to bank in a lot of profits, and you would take two instructions and, as much as possible, exit. I mean, as sizable as possible amounts of profit. So, if you notice, you can see that I've changed. I've changed the rider of our weekly profitably exiting the bull run, because whether you like it or not, this bull run is going to come to an end. And the confirmation of this is with the inception of the second half. I've always said initially that the bull run is on. We're just getting started, and now I think you would agree with me that we have a confirmed local bottom, and we've more or less started the second half in full swing. So to get on top of market updates, we've seen Bitcoin try to retest some higher lows. Unfortunately for the bears, it wasn't successful. And as a result of that, medium term in terms of sentiment means the bullish trend is resumed. However, for the very technical savvy and the charts addicts, they will still wait for the 200 moving average. I'll show you that later, for them to confirm that we're indeed in a bull trend, or the bull trend has resumed. But everything currently suggests that the bear trend, the bear correction is over as far as this current leg of the bull run is concerned, and the next leg is up. So in terms of regulation, we've seen heat from I think Hong Kong, China, and Germany as well. Some of the what we can call security equivalents being traded on the exchange. Because of that, Binance been taking some proactive steps in, restricting access by geography for some users. So, for instance, in Hong Kong, they've stripped off the features functionality for guys in Hong Kong. So anybody in Hong Kong can no longer trade features on Binance. For Germany, they stripped off all the stock tokens, and after some points, it actually froze trading of stock tokens on Binance. I think they're trying to position as much as possible outside regulatory storms. Having said that, there's a lot of noise this week around a bill that is being attempted by the US Congress as an addendum to the infrastructure bill. So there's this huge infrastructure bill that the US government is working on that will help the US try to catch up in terms of some major infrastructural deficits. So if you don't know, US just let me not say that. US is beautiful in places. Let me say that. Or if you live in the US and if you move around quite a bit, you see that the prosperity is not spread across. I mean, it's almost like every other place. So there are places that are really run down. There are places that are really back and up to the state of the earth in terms of the environment, the infrastructure, and all that. And there are places that are completely, you have things in tatters. And I mean, you ask yourself, is this US? Just like if you come to London, and I take you to Peckham or Elephant and Castle, and you start hearing people speaking, Conk Yoruba, you almost do a double take and like, where exactly am I? So in the same way, there is this huge infrastructure bill being pushed, bipartisan bill, by the US Senate to catch up on some of the infrastructural deficit. Of course, the meaning is more money printing. They will say that they're going to pay for it in raising taxes and all that. But if you drill down to the details, you find out that the amount of taxes that will be raised will not be up to the amount of money being printed for this infrastructure bill. However, how does this concern us? This infrastructure bill now has an addendum that seeks to regulate crypto. It's almost like it's an afterthought, but there are, passing all sort of stuff in it saying that you you need to do KYC as a miner. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I don't want to go into details of it because for many people it might be too technical, and the other, I mean, it might just not make sense. And what they're trying to do will kill the industry in the US if they try it at their expense, and while other countries will take it up. Countries like Canada who have already shown some flexibility probably gets immediate upper advantage. And Canada is significantly IEC code for the most part, so and they are energy rich country as well, so they might just get the most of the market. And I think that's still going to happen. I don't think US is going to succeed in taking the lead at these rates. I mean, given the kind of vibes that's coming through what they're intending to pass on the Congress. So this bill has been going around. There's lot of noise on it, seeking that everybody should do KYC, including smart contracts. I mean, the bill got a lot of gap in terms of understanding of the technicalities of crypto. So they put out the bill. People are complaining. They're now saying, the exchanges to come to them to work with them. So I'm like, why would you put out the bill first without, meeting with the people who are really, really involved in this thing? Anyways, that's US and that's their own problem. As far as this is concerned, what I think is going to happen is if the US makes the mistake of not taking the lead after the China fallout, people like Canada will be very prominent, and there will be a lot of European countries actually taking the initiative. I suspect that's going to happen, given the kind of movement you've seen. I mean, I think it was 2 weeks ago I was talking about the bill that just passed in Germany that allowed institutions up to 350 billion to invest in crypto. That's huge. Once they invest that and they see that they're getting growth from it, they're going to probably lobby to get more. So it's important that we realize that we're at the beginning of the adoption cycle. And the reason I'm actually bringing this up is, in the wider scheme of things, even though we might go to a bear market as regards the price of Bitcoin, know that we're at the very beginning of a major, major adoption wave across institutions and nation states. First news that I want to talk about is Saudi Arabia. If you've ever heard anything, done anything in technology or oil and gas, you will know Saudi Aramco. Saudi Aramco is the biggest oil and gas company in the world by market cap, far above any other principality in that region. And I mean, they're doing fantastically well for themselves. They did public listing just a while ago and heavily capitalized company. And the news leaked, just like Amazon's news leaked last week. Saudi Aramco was considering Bitcoin mining. And if Saudi Aramco is continuing Bitcoin mining, these guys don't invest. They invest in billions and hundreds of billions. That's the scale of the investment. And when I was doing a dissection of the business case, if I was sitting as a business analyst within the organization and looking at the business case for actually having mining rigs as part of one, the business infrastructure of Saudi Aramco, and two, as part of the balance sheet, it's probably the best business model for any oil company. And I'll tell you why. I have an MBA in oil and gas. So I can tell you that the margin of profits really from the actual refining activity is really very small, but they're able to make large profit because the volume of production is very large. And that's why you see that if you ever work in the oil and gas sector before, you see that there are a lot of precautions around HS and E, meaning you have to be safety conscious, you have to make sure that everything is not a safety risk, because if anything goes wrong, that you have to stop production for 1 minute, that is millions of dollars going down the drain. So because of that, they are always working to fine-tune the process and optimize the process to make sure that there are no inefficiencies and there are no downtime. because if it does, then profit may be easily wiped off. Like when the Gulf of Mexico stuff happened for BP, was a huge, I can't remember how many hundreds of billions they had to write off. So if a major oil company, I mean the leading oil company, not the major, is considering it, this is very huge, people. What it means is once they do it, everybody's going to start doing it. So it's going to become like, I don't want to use the word arms, it's going to be like a mining race between big companies. And for an oil company, it makes so much sense because there's so much fossil fuel being burnt, literally being wasted during the mining process of crude oil. So if they're able to capture that lost energy and channel it into Bitcoin mining, I think is the best of both worlds. Because one, they're going to create an avenue not to waste the tons of gases that they have to waste in flaring when they're mining for oil and when they're mining for, when they're mining for natural gas. They won't have to do that. So now they will just have to, channel the exhaust, the associated gases, and channel it to another plant, and from there, connect it to as many mining rigs. In fact, you can create mining rig hubs for as many as they want, and it can become an easily profitable model for any oil company. It caught my attention because I sort of know the cost breakdown, and I was excited to see that somebody was thinking in that line. And if they do go ahead with it, which I think they will, the fact that they've come out to deny it, means that they're likely to go ahead with it. If they do go ahead with it, then mining is going to become a very pretty business, and of course, by extension, you're going to have very significant spike the price of Bitcoin in the years to come. This might not affect the price of Bitcoin in the next 12 months, but when this goes live, because it takes about 9 to 12 months to set up a mining rig. So even if they start next month, it's still going to take them about a year to get fully operational. When this goes live, it's going to be massive because everybody else will be doing it. And don't forget that we have El Salvador that's going live next month, and they're already talking about using their own geothermal energy for mining as well. So this is massive. This is really, really massive news of major ramifications in the history of Bitcoin and in corporate strategy. Ethereum London fork. I don't know if you know about it, but Ethereum went through a major upgrade yesterday. It was called the London fork. It's called EIP 5155, something like that. This upgrade essentially was to make sure that Ethereum gets on the path of being a deflationary asset. I mean, before yesterday, the Ethereum's inflation rate was about 2.2 to 2.28 per annum. But with this upgrade on the Ethereum network, every single transaction that happens on the Ethereum blockchain, a fraction of Ethereum is burned, meaning a fraction of the transactional cost is destroyed completely and removed from the blockchain. So automatically this reduces the supply. And I'll give you some stats because the block, it's just barely 24 hours that this upgrade has kicked in, and we already noticed that almost $12 million worth of Ethereum has been burned in the last 24 hours since that upgrade. So what it means is that as Ethereum activity increases on the network is no longer going to be as cluttered as it used to be, because one, the mining fee is not going to be as high as before. Secondly, each transaction that happens value of Ethereum. Why am I bringing this up? This is important because, as a matter of fact, the coin of the week for this week is Ethereum, and I'm going to talk about it later. Ethereum, for the first time in its life, is going to be in the same lane Bitcoin store of value, because what it means is that Ethereum now has the opportunity to start climbing the ladder against Bitcoin in terms of value, and that's why if you're close to the crypto, like Ethereum flipping, meaning Ethereum flipping the price of Bitcoin. Now that might not happen immediately, but this particular bull run, I think we will see Ethereum go to Bitcoin's all-time high. At the minimum, I mean, conservatively, yeah, we can say half of it. Half of it is already 9K, but at the minimum, I think we'll do 70 to 80% or even 90% of Bitcoin's former all-time high, which is 19,700. So the upgrade has gone live. It's been successful, and as you will see, that Ethereum has been pumping like crazy. Um, and of course, Bitcoin dominance did drop significantly as well over the last 24 hours. It's picking up again, but it did drop because not only was the fork successful, we found out that there was a ramp up of activity on the Ethereum network, and it was mainly coming from DeFi, interestingly. In another news, Bitcoin SV suffers a 51, sorry, that's a 51%, not a 55%, suffers a 51% attack on its network. So Bitcoin SV, just for the benefit of context, Bitcoin SV is what is known as Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. How did it come about? So Bitcoin Satoshi Vision was the Bitcoin version before the SegWit Bitcoin upgrade of 2017. So question would be, okay, what was SegWit's Bitcoin update? So Bitcoin was also having past, like just had 2017, and there was mixed consensus. So there were some guys who were of the opinion that nothing to change on the original Bitcoin network. Then there were another group of developers that had the majority that said we could make these networks more secure by adding this upgrade and reducing the block size. So they went and made the upgrade, and then that became Bitcoin SegWit, which is the current Bitcoin that we have. The legacy Bitcoin is this Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. That legacy Bitcoin also got split up into Bitcoin Cash. So they share the replica of each other. But this particular Bitcoin, there's one guy going around. What's the guy's name? I can't remember the guy now. It's I think Australian British or British Australian, saying that it's Satoshi and that was his idea and all that. But it's always been a susceptible network because it's not as secure as the current Bitcoin network. So what happened was the hackers took over the network and then manipulated coins in their favor. So what happens in the 51% hacking is that a group of hackers or a particular hacker with more hash power than all the other hackers of the network starts mining transactions faster than everybody else, then directs all the traffic to himself, and then has the opportunity of restructuring the blockchain in terms of the order of transaction, and can only do that when you have hash rate that is stronger than the rest of the network. Of course, because nobody really cares about Bitcoin, especially newer investors. People who are investing post 2017 November don't know anything about Bitcoin SV. It's only the OGs and some very fanatic guys that know about Bitcoin SV. And of course, there are people that are passionate about it, just like you have people that are very passionate. So those people are still stuck with it. This is the second time in 2 years that's having a 51% attack, as evidence that it's not secure enough to bear the weight of a global monetary system. So in retrospect, I think the SegWit upgrade on Bitcoin was a very good one because that gave us the version of Bitcoin that we have today. So again, I brought this up just for people who might be looking into buying new tokens and see Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin SV. Those are not Bitcoin. The real Bitcoin is BTC. End of story. And that's the most secure. And that's probably going to be the most secure for a long time. In another news, Coinbase integrates Apple Pay. Now, between those words I just mentioned, I've mentioned hundreds of billions, almost trillions of dollars. Coinbase, up until they went live, they were considered the biggest cryptocurrency exchange. Since going live, it's apparent that Binance may actually have more capitalization than they do, but they're the biggest in terms of, they were the biggest up until 2018, I would say, or 2019 actually, because Binance started around 2017, 2018. So they were the biggest up until 2019 until Binance started to, and now Binance has outpaced them. But they are the most regulatory compliant, quote and unquote, company because they're publicly listed now in the United Kingdom. And if anything gets listed on Binance, I mean on Coinbase, it is assumed that that coin is legit because they are very stringent, they are very, very petty when it comes to listing tokens and all of that. So now that they're integrating Apple Pay, what it means is that they're providing an off-ramp for people. So if people have Binance accounts, they can just push their token to Coinbase, then off-ramp from Coinbase. Or I mean, especially people in the West, they're ramping Coinbase. You know that the taxman might be getting, direct replica of your data immediately. So caveat emptor or for anybody who's using Coinbase. I no longer use Coinbase. Sure. But yeah, they're going to accept Apple Pay, meaning people are going to be able to spend their crypto using Apple Pay. Good news for adoption, generally speaking. Last week, I think I talked about Ukraine. This week, there is a law that's coming out from Ukraine that will allow them to take payments in cryptocurrencies. In the week before, I did mention that the Apex Bank had been officially given permission. The Apex Bank of the Central Bank of Ukraine had been given permission to issue digital currency. Now they have this law that's come into place that will allow them to take, the currency payments. So I won't be surprised that as we are seeing El Salvador migrating itself to Bitcoin as an alternate legal tender, we might be seeing people like sorry, my smoke alarm is being repaired. So if you hear a noise, it's probably coming from a repair smoke alarm. So yeah, so we're going to like to see Ukraine on the peak of the adoption within Europe, because they have been making moves at the same time that El Salvador is making moves. And because of the war on Crimea and their battle with Russia, their currency has been really, really paused. I mean, I don't know which one is worse, theirs or Nigeria's currency, but it's been really, really battered because of the war. So for the most part, most of them actually spend in dollars and convert back. So being able to receive crypto might actually be a good one for them. In relation to that, I forgot to mention. I saw somebody sent something from, I think it was from Panic. So crypto one this uh cryptometrics or something like that. It's an Instagram channel. I was saying that P2P in Nigeria moved, I think $40 million, something crazy within 1 month. I was saying that the government has no clue. They're light years away from having a clue about how this whole thing is working. Anyways, that's a side distraction. US Congress, as I was saying, wants to squeeze in a crypto bill, infrastructure bill. And there's been a lot of noise around this because there's so many vague terminologies. Essentially, what the bill is saying is anything that is involved in transmitting assets can do KYC. Now, you have DEXs that are decentralized exchanges, you have smart contracts, you have automated market maker contracts that have nobody manning them. How are they going to do KYC? So it really doesn't make sense. Please hold on for the guys on Instagram. I need to switch my internet source. I think it's internet source is, yeah, my Wi-Fi is breaking up, so let's just switch mobile. Yeah, so Instagram should be fine now. Yeah, so basically they're trying to squeeze this through with the infrastructure bill as one package, and it's causing a lot of uproar. I doubt very much that it's going to get passed, given the way they operate within the US. It's not going to get passed quickly. To get passed, it's going to take 2023 for it to take effect or something. So we're going to move on from that for now. In terms of recovery for Bitcoin, interesting to know that as at the time of preparing this, Bitcoin was sitting around 41K. And just before the meeting started, I saw it pop to 43K and come back. What I think is going to happen is if the momentum continues, somebody said the smell bit repaired. If the momentum, it means that US market is going to close probably with Bitcoin sitting around 43 or 40. The importance of that is huge because if the US market closes with Bitcoin at 44K, it means that they are well positioned to do 48K over the weekend. Because if we close today at 44K, 48K is just 10%. And I'll come to the analysis of the chart later of why it's important. But I think we might be gearing in that direction. But I won't jump the gun. I won't jump the gun on that. It's either way. In terms of coin spotlight, as I said, Ethereum is a coin spotlight for this week. And the reason it is the coin spotlight is because Ethereum is going to most likely, I suspect very, very seriously, that it's going to attempt Bitcoin's all-time high in the coming months. And that was why I made the call on the WhatsApp group that I think it's a good time to buy Ethereum. And then sell when you're like 4, 5, or 6x, which is inevitable given what has just happened with the upgrade. And in fact, when I show you the Ethereum chart as well, you see that there is a lot of heavy institutional purchase. So while Bitcoin prices was coming down after a few days, after 10 days, Ethereum price didn't really come down. Just like paused, and then continued. So maybe your last opportunity to see Ethereum below 3K. It's not a financial advisor, of course. It's important to just point it out that by the time the next bull run comes around, Ethereum might be selling in double digits, thousands. Moving on to crypto vital signs, as you will see, we've done a $500 million gain in 1 week. Please keep that in mind, guys. Cryptocurrency market has gained $500 million in 1 week. That is more than 1/3 of the market value before this week. So before this last week, the market capitalization was around 1. Now we are 1.73 trillion. So 500 billion plus, $500 billion 1 week. What it means is that if this keeps pace, then the market capitalization is going to exceed the all-time high. The all-time high market cap that we have was around 26.75 trillion. So we're likely going to exceed that, definitely going to exceed that in the months to come. And you can see as well that we've had over 100 billion gain in altcoins, and that's why you see many of the altcoins really popping hard. I mean, from their perennial lows, as I would say, because yeah, they've been really hard hit by the crash. Many of them are still like 40% of their April highs. But generally speaking, I just wanted to bring this up. The market is largely green. There was at some point most of the Binance USD is stablecoin. USDC is stablecoin. To take out the stablecoins, you can't see any red. Everything was green. That's a long time. A long time coming. So what that means, if anything, is that the bullish sentiment is back in the markets, and we have that confirmed as well with Fear and Greed Index. Last week was 53. This week is 52. In between, it went to 60. Interestingly, I think that was on Monday morning. Yeah, thereabouts. Went to 60 briefly. But what it tells you, if you go back by 7, 8 weeks back, we've been in fear. Now we're suddenly out of fear, meaning that confidence is back in the markets. In terms of where we are in the cycle, we're back to belief. Like I said, in the overall cycle, we never really got to euphoria. But in the short time, I think we got to euphoria and crashed down to capitulation. And now we've exceeded this disbelief, which many people thought that the bounce back from 29K was a bearish retest. But it's obvious that that's not the case now. The market seems to have gained momentum. And if we do close at 44 or above, then we are very much going to challenge 200-day moving average, which is currently at 45K. And the best time to challenge it is no other time than the weekend, because they just wake up for that and 4,000 in candles or 3 candles. So I think, yeah, I think the market is setting up properly for another leg up. In terms of what's happening, okay, sorry, before that, I need to go to the charts. So let's go to the charts and have a brief look at what's happening on the market. Let me check. So let's start from Ethereum. So Ethereum, as I was saying, let me expand this a bit. Ethereum had been in basically an uptrend since a strong uptrend since the 21st of July. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 days. So when Bitcoin had 10 days, Ethereum had 10 days gain non-stop. Had one day of correction, and then we're in the third day now. I think we are definitely hitting 3,000 tonight or this weekend. It goes without saying. 3,000 is guaranteed this week. Whether we're going to correct back or we're just going to keep going till we probably get like 35, 36. Another point of question. But definitely we're slightly above the supply zone now, 2,008. So I think 3,000 is inevitable. If we break 3,000, then of course it'll be 3,000 to 1,000. So that's that about Ethereum. For Bitcoin, if you were here last week, I was making an analogy, trying to explain the price of Bitcoin with the wave theory. Wave theory is what's called Elliott wave. It's an Elliott wave theory. You can read that up on the internet. It's usually used to analyze markets, and most of the time on the bigger time frame, it sort of works like clockwork. Basically, what it says is that the market moves in pulses. So depending on how you want to analyze, you can analyze as Elliott waves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, to Elliott waves into C. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 means the long-term upward trend or downward trend, and the ABC is a correction trend. Now, what we're seeing here is that about this first wave, then we'll have 4 days of correction. Now we're on the second wave. Two things are possible. On the second wave here, we can take another correction just about at about 47 or 48K and come back this region. When we come back to this region, the lowest it will be in terms of retest will be 42K, most likely. If that goes through and then we're good, then I think the next level will be anywhere between this 54K or 9K. Now it looks like a long shot now, but if you calculate this in number of days, or let's do an estimate. So we're here now. Say the market goes this way, how many days is it going to take us? 22 days. So by the end of the month, I mean this is actually another estimate. By the end of the month, the price could be sitting just short of 60K based on this analysis. So because of that, it's important to realize that if you're trading, you don't want to be shorting Bitcoin at this time because there's more upward momentum, way more upward momentum than downward momentum. Like I explained before, for interested in candlestick patterns, I always say that when you see a bullish engulfing or a bearish engulfing on a major time frame chart, most likely you have a trend reversal. So structure you have here, or the pattern you have here, sorry. Pattern you have here between these two candles is what you call a bullish engulfing, meaning the preceding candle, the subsequent candle is bigger than the preceding candle in length. And this one is even very huge because the length, the thickness of the trunk of the candle is almost as big as both the wick and the body of the previous candle. And that was on the 5th of that was on the 4th of August. This definitely shows trend continuation because we were originally on this long trend. Same thing here. The same thing that happened here. So you see the same pattern here. That's a bullish engulfing. typical of trend reversal. So it means that the downtrend we were in from May or thereabouts was reversed at this point. And I said then at the bottom, I called the bottom at this point to say I think the bottom is in. And then we confirmed it, one, by crossing the long-term 12-month moving average at 34K, then coming back and retesting and not even getting as low as 34K, but bottoming out at 37K. Strong, perfect signal for again, I think 45K or 44,700 has been shown by this 200-day moving average. It's going to get smoked. And the reason is very straightforward. We've done 43K as today's high. We opened today at around 40K. So we've done 3,000 in the course of today alone. Weekend, we have a lot of headroom. And because retail is also now encouraged, so to speak, to get into the fray, there is a lot of incentive to break this. If we break this tomorrow, then I can expect that we can either attempt 48K or come back to retest this and sit upon it. Will it break at once? I think so. I think Bitcoin is going to break at once. Because if it doesn't break it at once, then it gives room for a complete trend reversal consolidation, which is very, very, very unlikely. And I mean, I try to start context of what's happening. As I always say, strategy is always equal. You can't apply strategy without text. Otherwise, there'll be a misfit somewhere. Regardless of what the chart is showing you, you need to where are we in the cycle of the market? Where we are in the cycle of the market, and I think it's going to unfold faster and more rapid than the previous one. I think we're going to have a bit of like earlier in the day. We might, I mean, it might look like we got to euphoria the last time, but I think now is the time we're going to see what it looks like. Because the price are just going to go insane for a number of weeks, and people will just get mad and crazy, really, because people will get confused on what to buy at that point in time, and everybody will be rushing in until the bull run comes to an end, and then that's all over. So that's that for bull run. I mean, I said for bull run for Bitcoin. I think the only way is up for now in terms of the market, in terms of dominance. So the dominance chart is very interesting. So this Bitcoin dominance, just for context, Bitcoin dominance is an index that shows how much of the market cap, the overall market cap, sitting in Bitcoin. It's usually an indicator that tells you when we're in the altcoin season. So it's been coming down essentially since last week, Friday, Saturday. And it's only in the last 24 hours that's picked up again. Of course, it's picked up again because the price of Bitcoin has gone up. If we get to 48K by any chance this weekend, I expect this Bitcoin dominance to come up and retest this low trend line. And then if we consolidate at above 45K, I expect Bitcoin dominance to come down. If it comes down, we can expect to see it come down as low as where we were before, which is 39. For historical perspective, the lowest Bitcoin has been, in terms of dominance, has been 35. That was at the peak of the last leg of the alt season for 2017 bull run. That was 2018 January and February. January and February, basically. That was the lowest Bitcoin has gotten. If it gets to that point, it means that that's the end of alt season and everybody will immediately exit to it's likely. But for now, I think because on the weekly charts, they have not succeeded in breaking the last Fibonacci level, which is at 49. I think next week is going to see us try 45, 44K again. So that's in terms of Bitcoin dominance and what to expect of Bitcoin and Ethereum. So um, in terms of what I wanted to talk about today in crypto, I wanted to talk about exiting the bull run profitably. So there's been a lot of questions when the market crashed back in May. People asking me, is it, but are we in bear markets now? And I kept saying, the bull run was not over. And as a matter of fact, that was correction. That's as a matter of fact, the correction seems premature and forced, which is essentially what it turned out to be. Was like the the big whales just decided to take profit on everybody early and essentially pour crude water on the markets. And of course, that significantly reduced the market cap of Barrow crypto market cap by more than half. Yeah, by about half, essentially. Yeah, Barrow crypto market cap dropped, which is a bit lower, a bit more than half of what it was before the crash. What do I want to say, or what do I want to talk about here? So before going into the crash, personally, my opinion was that we were likely going to mirror 17 bull. But when the crash happened and it dragged out the way it dragged out, it became obvious that we were likely mirroring the 2013 bull run, in which case we had two legs up. Right now, we have this second leg, and the second leg is what we've just started witnessing. So if you ever had to talk to me about Bitcoin, when to buy this, if you didn't buy last week, you didn't buy the week before now, today is your last day because Bitcoin might not, I was going to say Bitcoin might not sell below 40K again, but I just remembered now that we're even selling above 40K. So definitely we're going back to all-time high. In terms of ROI, I think Ethereum will perform better than Bitcoin long run because, of course, it's the one with the smaller market cap and is the younger brother, so it has a lot more room to grow. Secondly, because we already sort of have an idea of where Bitcoin price cannot be less than 100,000 before this year runs out. It cannot, and I mean, you can quote me on that. It's not a financial advice, but you can quote me that I said Bitcoin price cannot be less than 100,000 in the next few months, actually. And the reason it is because on-chain metrics, as I keep mentioning many times, suggest that we're still in that supply shock where you have more than 30-something thousand Bitcoins being withdrawn from exchange practically every week. In fact, there was a major buy that happened during the last weekend and this week. It was an OTC exchange, meaning that it didn't happen on the exchange on the other board. It happened over the counter. So somebody just hooked up with somebody and said, I need 100,000. They just sold over the counter. The only reason we got to know about it was because the applications tracking the blockchain showed that there was a massive deposit from one of the exchanges to an unknown wallet. So long term, I think this is very bullish. In terms of being able to exit profitably, I think there's a need for skill, more importantly, direction and information. Because some of the information we had was that 10% correction, which I didn't feel significant, but apparently the Elon Musk saga aggravated that correction. So it went deeper and longer than expected. So be able to exit appropriately as I went due, I think there's need for informed or pre-informed notification, if I may say. Somebody was on the feedback. So that allows you to know when to exit the market. And as a result, I put up a class. I'm still trying to decide whether I should do the class next weekend or the weekend of the 21st. I'm going to put it to a poll here, actually, and I'm going to put it to a poll on the WhatsApp group to try to determine whether or not, sorry, I'm just trying to poll now, whether or not we should have the class on the 21st or whether we should have it on the 14th. And based on the result of the poll here and the one on the WhatsApp group, I'm going to act accordingly. So give me a second. So so launching the poll now. I would like to just please fill in yeah Rainmaker, please can you send me your phone number so I can add it to WhatsApp group. I've sent the poll out. I would like to see, which days people are more amenable to in terms of the 100% answered. Wow. Okay, I'm going to show you the lot of anyways, okay, so it was 50%, 50-50 originally. So I was like, okay, what's going on here? Oh, okay, it's still coming in. Now we've had 6 people respond. Okay, please, I'm going to wait for people to respond so that I can conclude on which dates. People have everybody is voting for their consistency. It's flipped now to the 14th. Anyways, it's probably going to be my last class for the year because I need to focus on some developmental efforts myself, and I'm working on a conference for, I think it's going to be December, the first week in December, called African Crypto Summit. Promises to be a very fantastic time. So I need to, settle down, focus on preparing for that, setting up all the stuff. So I don't think I'll have time to take any more training for this year, to be honest. Um, so this most likely to be the last one. I would encourage anyone that's already in the WhatsApp group to please um, try as much as possible to attend this course. Even if you not attended any of my courses before, it's very important because um, many people come to crypto with the notion of, okay, I can make quick money. Yeah. I'm not going to doubt that you can make quick losses as well. But it's important that you realize that, like every investment, timing is everything. Um, so you need to know how to position, because if you don't know how to position, then you might be entering and be exiting at the wrong time. Let me give you an example. If you bought Bitcoin at 58,000 when the market first dropped and had that first dip, thinking that you bought the dip, and then you mistakenly, or well, out of panic, decided to sell when it got to 42,000. Number one, you've lost more than 20% of your original investments. And then you decide that, okay, you're going to buy back at 40,000, then you buy back at 40,000, then it drops again to 30,000. Then you sold again. You've lost another 20%. So all in all, you probably lost like 30 to 40%, going by panic selling of your investment. So it's important you know the nature of what you're getting into. You don't have to understand everything, quite all right, but at least understand the cycle, understand the macro, if I may say. And that's why I try to make the classes as interactive as possible so that people can also ask questions. Chinelo, the question you're asking me is part of the course content. So one of the things, there are 4 things I'm going to talk about. One, the overall cycle and the expected end date of this bull run, on-chain end dates. Now, the market can still go on a crazy spin after that, but I'll talk about the expected end date of the bull run. I'll talk about how to manage your portfolio between now and the end of that date, and then how you can play the market till we reach what is known as a blow off top, and then how to prepare for the for the bear market. I think it's very critical. It's very critical on how you position yourself. If you, I mean, many of you have bought stocks before. You understand that why you stop when it's high and you sell when it's crashing, you sold at a loss as well. So it's important that when to enter, when to exit. For most of you, you already entered, trying to enter. I think there's a good opportunity to enter now. Everything is going to be it's at the minimum from current prices. At the minimum, everything is going to do times two of current prices, no matter what the asset is. So, a good time to get in across board. But more than that, have money you want, or in the next 1.5 years, then it's important that you get a strategy that helps you to maneuver the market. That's what I hope that because I don't want to have to be repeating myself to people in private fora, and I want people to have some foreknowledge of what to expect for the next 6 months. So having said that, I will leave the room open for questions. If your question is falling under the, other things I will take during the class, then I'm sorry, I won't be able to take your questions. I will just refer you to join the class. So right now we have 14th as the majority carrying the day. My original plan was not to record this class, this particular class, because I might say some sensitive things that I don't want to be quoted. So, but we'll see how it goes, depending on. But 14th is the tentative date. That's next week, Saturday. I would give you the details. If there are people that are not able to next week Saturdays, they are really interested in getting on the course. Contact me privately and talk about what arrangements can be made. So having said that, I'm going to open the floor for questions. If you're on Instagram, just type in your question. I'll take the question. I'll read it out. I'll take otherwise, if you're on Zoom, just mute your mic and ask your question.
Hi, Debbie. My question is around Ethereum, so you might not want to answer.
Yeah, I saw your question.
No, I have a
second
question, and it's still around Ethereum. So I don't know if it's something you could answer or you want to wait till.
Okay, go ahead.
So you are saying to sell Ethereum for in short term for between 10K and 12K. So what I can get my head around is will one be able to get in at that? As low as we are now in the future, if you sell what you have for 10K and 12K. Yeah, because it's for short term, but some of us want it for long term. And is it possible we can actually get Ethereum for this price ever? I know there's uncertainty, but still.
I'm not gonna kid you, Chinelo. You're not gonna get Ethereum. You're not gonna get Ethereum for 3K ever again.
Yeah, I think I rest my case.
It goes without saying, and it just on the back of fundamentals, it would leave out the upgrades that happen network and Ethereum changing to stationary. Just on the back of the wave of adoption alone, the cryptocurrency market easily do like 3 trillion or 4 trillion by the end of next year. Considering that next year is supposed to be bear markets, it will still need significant adoption. Now, why? Why would that happen? Because people will really easily read the in between the lines that even though have dropped in the price of Bitcoin year on year, the overall gain year on year seems to be more when you span it over a year or 2 or 3 years. So many people will easily just say, you know what, let's take this as a long-term investment. So that's why I said, if you need the cash in the next 16 months or in the next 12 or 18 months, then yeah, it makes sense to exit the market and bank some profits. Otherwise, it should be part of your retirement plan if you're not too far away from retirement. If you are middle age like myself, you should consider it as your savings and long-term investment Well, but we're not going to see the price of Ethereum. Okay, yeah, maybe at the peak of the bear market when we're like halfway to the next half, which usually will be around end of next year slash beginning of 2020. Maybe we'll see an Ethereum at 3.5, maybe, but I doubt it. Honestly, I doubt it because what will happen now is price will take off and Ethereum will go to like an all-time high of 12K or plus, and then Bitcoin will go to maybe 200K or 300K as the case may be, and then the Bitcoin will crash like 80%. But if Bitcoin crashes 80% from 300K, that is still 60K. So again, I doubt it. And the third reason why I doubt we're going to have it this low is because you already have exchange traded funds, and I think I talked about that last month. We already have exchange traded funds that are now being offered for Ethereum in Canada, in Caribbean, in Argentina, and in Brazil. What that means is that ordinary people can get exposure to these assets without necessarily owning them themselves. They just buy the ETFs. That drives the demand on the underlying product. So even though, we're still going to witness a bear market, but I don't think it's going to come this low again. That's it. Please, Mike. Who else has a question?
I have it's a question, but it's actually based on my ignorance on Binance. Do we see Binance ever being like Ethereum?
Oh, Binance Coin, right?
Yes.
Yes. So I think what will happen that those coins will take the place of each other. Let me give you an example. Where's my? I had CoinMarketCap somewhere. Yeah. So this is CoinMarketCap. Right now, Binance is number 4. So if you remove Theta, which is a stable coin, Binance is the top third. Top 3. So Binance is in number 3 crypto right now, and it is number 3 crypto because of three things. One, the exchange. The exchange is doing very, very well. The most capitalized exchange in the world right now. 2, it is the same coin that's being used as its token on Binance Chain. Binance Chain is like made in China version of Ethereum. It's cheaper, it's faster, it runs a lot smoother. It's probably less decentralized, but it works. So most people just use it because of ease of use, and it's cheaper. So it's easy to create projects on Binance Chain. Third, Binance also provides a platform. So there's a launch pad where people are able to launch projects and launch tokens. Now, these use cases drive a lot of demand for Binance on the market. So by the time we get to the next bull run, I won't be surprised if Binance is selling at the price of Ethereum, because Binance, just last year, come on, just last year, Binance was like $40 or something, 25 at some point. So, right now it's 345. So in the next few years, there's nothing stopping it from selling at 3,000. You get what I mean? So definitely Binance, coins like Binance, coins like Solana, coins like Adult, like we can see these guys, Solana, Chainlink, Uniswap, Cardano, probably XRP. Dogecoin, I'm not too sure. There's another one. Info. Where is that? Okay, Matic and Theta. Matic may not. Matic may not go as far as this one for now, but yeah, I think these are key tokens to look at. I'll probably, when the bear market is on, I'll talk about because that's when the real money is made. To be honest, it's not the bull run. You're just cashing out. The real investments are in the bear market when prices are down. New tokens are coming on the markets, and new opportunities are showing their face. So really, if you're not in the market, it's a good time to get in, but yeah, you're probably getting in for 100% or 200% max in terms of returns in the remaining part of this bull run. So same thing with FTX. FTX is another exchange token. So those are the optics for Binance chain, Binance coin. Any other question?
Sorry, I promise this is my last one.
It's okay.
I lost my
Of
notes.
course.
I think it was 2 weeks ago. You talked about Kusama, my favorite topic. What you said something about they are doing. There's a project, and I think you said it was this August. Sorry, if you could remind me about Kusama. You said something about Kusama. I think it was 2 weeks ago.
I said so many things. I'm not sure.
Yeah, you said I think there's something happening with Kusama, and you said when that time comes, it might peak.
Yeah, I said that in August, a number of projects. Well, in traditional sense, it would be projects launching on Kusama. So the way Kusama works is that Kusama has what you call a fully commoditized blockchain, in the sense that for you to hook up to the Kusama blockchain, your blockchain needs to get a slot. For you to get that slot, you need to auction, you need to participate in an auction in which you bid. For you to be able to bid, you need to raise funds from your token. So because of that, very easily people are able to pull into the Polkadot ecosystem, because you can't get on the Polkadot ecosystem without winning a bid to get a slot. So it's like a lease, not like it's actually a lease. They lease you the blockchain for 2 years, after which you need to renew your lease with an auction. So one of the coins that I mentioned that should look out for Akala, and Akala is a parachain on the Polkadot ecosystem that is planning to launch in August. Now, because Kusama is operating as how do I put it now? We call it a two-tier technological landscape in solution deployments, where you have the test system and then you have the production system. So consider Kusama as the test system and Polkadot as the production system. So Kusama is like a testnet, but it's a commoditized testnet that the testnet itself has a token that is sellable, and if your project runs well on Kusama, you might be in a position to bid to put your project on Polkadot. So because these projects are launching on Kusama, there is going to be some significant demand for Kusama. I see Kusama in 4 figures before the end of the year, based on that. Yeah, and as I said, you can choose then to sell it with price down, but knows that even when the price comes down, you might not get as much as before, because there's every possibility that the price will not come down well enough. But that's what I remember talking about in terms of Kusama.
Yes, I remember now. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So some people are asking me that what are the recommendations? So I said I was going to put it out, but let me just say it now. My recommendations are really around DeFi and NFT. I'm looking seriously at Uni. Chainlink is in the bag, definitely. Terra Luna under strong consideration, and UMA. Yeah, UMA is also under very serious consideration. Those are the ones I am looking at the near term. I think they're going to do very well. Phantom is going to do very well as well. So it's yeah, you can see that I almost got to $1, the recent high. So I think we're about 5x from another high, right? So I think Phantom is cheap, 28 cents right now. So those are the ones that, apart from the myriads of tokens I've already mentioned, those are the ones I'm looking at. NFT, I think they've had their buzz. I think DeFi is going to lead. This guy is still going crazy. It seems to go direction with Bitcoin in a strange manner. I mentioned Axis, I mentioned Decentraland, I mentioned that before. Digibyte is an old timer. Digibyte actually has the oldest blockchain, if I remember, up to date. Fake is another good. Currently, I think it currently has half of the percent high. I get it right. Yeah. In fact, less than half, $8. So for those that have done some very significant movements earlier in the year, can expect them to revisit their previous all-time high. So that's everything from me. If you don't have any question, I'm happy to let you go to enjoy your weekend. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, everyone. Do have a lovely week. I will send out details of the course contents on the WhatsApp, and if you have problems joining it, to get in touch with me privately. I'll see what we do. So to that end, I would say have a lovely weekend, everyone, and God bless.
Bless you too, and bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.